Hey guys, so I'm working on these skis for my little snowmobile here. I started off with just these pieces of shelving. I got one factory edge here, squared off, and I welded on this side in the front. I debated on making like a groove down the middle, but to make it turn better, but the bead rollers I have don't fit in there, so I'm just gonna try it like that. And started making the supports here. This is just a piece of pipe and some sheet metal here. So that's how those will go. And I added these little springs here. Kind of acts like a sway bar because I was having problems with this. Would turn when you're turning. It had a little bit of tilt, like unsupported, just freely tilting, so that kind of firms it up a little bit. I'll show you what I mean. So I might have to put a little bit stiffer springs in there, but it seems to be helping. So I'll give that a try. And I also had to adjust the tie rods a little bit. Just the steering wheel wasn't lined up with it. The wheel's so good, so. And I trimmed down the handlebars a little bit. Also, it was pretty wide. So I'll give that a try. And I'm working on this mini bike. It's I had a problem with these screws for the airbox fell out, and one fell in there. Still can't find the other one. I think it might have just fell off. But they go like this. So those two came out, and one of them came out and got jammed in the throttle, and then I had it stuck at wide open throttle, so I pulled it apart and fished that one out of there. And it's been getting harder and harder to start, so I sanded down the diaphragm plate there on the side and on the carb as well, and the intake where it bolts onto the block. Sanded all those flat and put a new diaphragm in. I think it'll help it out, so we'll see if it starts easier now. Alright. Alright, got them all welded up. Now I just gotta grind them down, clean them up, and paint them. Alright, I tried it out in the grass and it didn't want to turn at all, so I added some skids here. I changed the front tire because I wanted a little bit of softer ride, and these wheelbarrow tires work better. So it's a real tight fit, but it'll fit. And so I don't like these things that much though, because they don't have much grip on them, but they ride a lot better than the normal mini bike tires. So I'm going to give that a try. And for this torque converter, I took it off. I'm going to put this regular clutch on it convert the torque converter backing plate into a jack shaft here. I always wanted to try it with a regular clutch because the torque converters, I don't like torque converters on mini bikes because they're pretty unresponsive. They don't give you much. I don't like the way they feel on mini bikes, so I'm gonna try this, and I think it'll work good. I couldn't go directly to the engine with it because the way there's a brace in here for the fender. It gets in the way of the chain, so this makes the distance shorter, so the chain's less likely to fall off. And I got the ratio a little bit lower with the bigger sprocket here, so I think that'll work good. And this is how I align chains. I just bend over on the back here and look forward at it and kind of line up across the flat here with it and see either side of it how it lines up, and that works pretty good for me. When you're doing a back wheel, it's a little easier because the sprocket's bigger. You can't do it with the chain on, you gotta take the chain off, but you could look across here down close to the axle on the top and bottom. You look forward to the clutch on the inside and the outside, all four sides. You can get it pretty lined up pretty well. So that's how I do that. So I just gotta make some spacers in here and tighten it up, and then it'll be done. It's pretty easy to convert that. So I got lucky with the chain tension here. It's pretty good. Doesn't have any adjustment on it, but I didn't have to use a half link or anything. Okay, so I decided to add a couple of inches to the forks here and rake it out a little bit. This used to be started life as a Cat Hustler, so it was a chopper, but I cut about 5 inches out of the forks here when I rebuilt it years ago, and I deraked the angle there so it rode better like a normal mini bike, and it was fine like that for a long time, but I decided to rake it out a little bit more because it just seemed a little bit steep the way I had this seat on, because I generally sit farther back now because it's a smoother ride. So the handlebars seemed kind of stretched out, and the angle seemed a little bit steep, so I changed it back. I only added a couple inches, 2 inches to the forks here, and the angle was like 25 degrees and now it's 30-ish. So I didn't rake it out that much as it was before, but it's a lot better now. And it handles good, and I added that wheelbarrow front tire. It rides a lot smoother than the old Carlisle that was on there. And I had this wheel half that I got from some swap meet, and so I only had one, and I bought another half. It's an Astro, so it kind of matches up pretty good. It just doesn't have this This one has a single lip on the edge, and this one has a double lip. It's a little bit shinier, but that doesn't matter. So it works good. The fender's a little high here, but I decided not to lower it down. It looks good enough the way it is. It's real tight in here, but it's alright. It fits. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but I added put these little bit longer shocks on because the seat wasn't quite level. A little bit sloping back, so that's a lot better now too. So, alright, this one's done. Alright, so I'm working on this bed frame go-kart now. It's pretty good the way it is, but I'm gonna put a torque converter on it because I got that one from the Minibike, and I had an extra backing plate here, so it's a complete unit. And the other thing is the seat is quite slippery, so I'm going to make some bolsters for it so I don't slip off side to side, and we'll see how it goes. It's pretty good on the lawn, but can't really take it in the woods too much because it's doesn't do so good on the hills without the torque converter. So we're going to give that a try. Alright, so it's all done now. Goes pretty much as expected. It's better up the hills, but it's a little bit less responsive, and so it's less fun, but it goes better up the hills and has more power, but it doesn't feel like it. So it went pretty well. I got these side bolsters on here, just little pieces of plywood. They work good, and I had to re-drill the couple of engine bolts here because to move the engine over, I had to move the engine over to get the torque converter on there, and these edge bolts, these holes here are too close to the edge, so I couldn't use those, so I just drilled a couple more bolt holes. And I on the back of the backing plate there on the torque converter, I had shaved down some ribs there to clear the chain. Other than that, it went pretty good and works good. I just got this 13 horse Honda from my neighbor for free. It was a pressure washer. It was locked up, so I got it for free. And here's the pump. If the pump doesn't work, I'm just probably going to use it on one of my go-karts. So it was locked up because there was rust in the cylinder. I cleaned it all out and got it cleaned up, and now it's working good again. Runs good. Alright, I welded on these little tabs so that the skis don't flop backwards, because I tested it out and it was doing that a little bit. So, and I drilled the nuts there for the cotter pins so they don't get loosened off. So it burned up a belt. It was a Chinese one, so I'm going to try this Comet one and see how it does. Alright, quick update for you. Got the hood here built and started working on the grill here. This is all very just working on it as I go because I'm not really sure what I want. But started making the front pan here. Kind of want to put this vent in here. And I wanted to wrap around this sheet metal, but I haven't figured that out yet. And probably going to use this grating here for the grill. It's like old soldered together wire, so that'll look pretty good, I think. So the hood here is aluminum. I had a big sheet of it and just kind of shaped it to fit without I don't have an English wheel yet, so just kind of did it by hand. And I put a piano hinge here in the middle, and on the rod in the middle I made it so it can bolt on here. It's got bolt welded on there. I'll just put some wing nuts on the bottom. And started making the exhaust here. So where it comes out there, it'll go in here and then into this box and then back. So it'll go along under the door. And the hood hinge, hood latches, I made these. They're all aluminum. Quite a bit of little fiddling, but it came out really good. So I'll put those on the sides over here, rivet them on, and I think I might put a reinforcing angle along the back side there. I got this angle here. So rivet that all on and see how it goes.